Some NFL quarterbacks were able to shed the bust label after making the most of another opportunity. Think of guys like Jim Plunkett or Steve Young, or heck, more recently, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, or Daniel Jones. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said about every other once highly touted quarterback that struggled early on in their career. Some notable QB draft busts, like Johnny Manziel and Ryan Leaf, only have themselves to blame for failing to live up to the hype. But other so-called NFL quarterback draft busts have had the finger unfairly pointed at them long enough. So, here are 10 such players who shouldn't be blamed for the situation they were put in. David Carr. Alright, let's get the most obvious one out of the way first. The Houston Texans entered the NFL as an expansion franchise in 2002. As such, the NFL awarded them the #1 pick in that year's draft. So of course, they addressed the league's most important position by selecting Fresno State quarterback David Carr. The next pick was future Hall of Fame defensive end Julius Peppers, who went 2nd overall to the Carolina Panthers. Sorry to remind you, Texans fans. Anyway, Houston fans know how this one went down. He went 22-53-0 over 5 seasons as Houston's starting quarterback, with 59 touchdowns against 65 interceptions. But please don't get carried away and assume it was all Carr's fault. He was sacked 76 times in his rookie year, an NFL record. Their defense was consistently among the NFL's worst. Tom Capers wasn't qualified to be a head coach either. Carr spent his final years in the NFL as a journeyman backup, winning a Super Bowl 46 ring with the New York Giants as Eli Manning's understudy. And by the way, the Texans wouldn't get a true star-level QB until Deshaun Watson in 2017. Kinda goes to show just how bad this franchise was at evaluating the quarterback position. So don't blame Carr for his career shortcomings. He had a lot going against him. Robert Griffin III. After the Indianapolis Colts drafted Andrew Luck 1st overall in 2012, Washington happily took Robert Griffin III with the #2 selection. Washington had traded up via the St. Louis Rams to obtain the pick, as the NFC West club already had 2010 1st overall pick Sam Bradford in the fold. Now, Griffin, as you may recall, was lights out in his rookie season. He threw for 20 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions to go along with 815 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. He led Washington to a surprise NFC East crown, their first division title since 1999. But we all know what happened from there, though. Washington had Griffin play on a bad knee in their playoff loss to the Seattle Seahawks, which required surgery. He would never be healthy the rest of the way. From Dan Snyder's incompetence to Bruce Allen's horrific roster construction to Mike Shanahan showing zero regard for Griffin's health, you cannot put any of the blame on RG3. Also, how many QBs have actually played well for more than 1 season in Washington again? Yeah, that's what we thought. If his body hadn't taken so many beatings, Griffin might have been a star after leaving Washington in 2016. Unfortunately, it was far too little, far too late. Josh Rosen. The special 2018 NFL QB draft class featured Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, and Sam Darnold. 2 future Hall of Famers / MVP winners and 1 Super Bowl winning quarterback. Not half bad. It's hard to remember now, but the hype was also super high on UCLA product Josh Rosen. The Arizona Cardinals actually traded up via the Oakland Raiders to select Rosen with the #10 selection, making him the 4th QB taken in the top 10. Unfortunately for Rosen, he couldn't have landed in a worse position as a rookie. The Cardinals had inexplicably signed the oft-injured Sam Bradford in free agency, making Rosen the backup. Arizona had also hired first-time head coach Steve Wilks to replace the retired Bruce Arians. Wilks, respectively, was not cut out for the head coaching gig. Rosen took over as the starting QB after 3 awful starts from Bradford. His best receiver was a fading Larry Fitzgerald. The O-line allowed Rosen to take 45 sacks in 14 games, and the defense was a laughingstock too. Wilks is fired after Arizona finished 3-13, the worst mark in football. New head coach Cliff Kingsbury wanted Kyler Murray, so Arizona took him with the #1 pick in 2019 and shipped Rosen to the Miami Dolphins. Rosen was stuck on a 2019 Dolphins squad that tried pulling off the most obvious tank job of NFL history. So of course, he didn't get anything going there. He spent 1 season as Matt Ryan's backup on the Atlanta Falcons in 2021, then was soon out of the league altogether. Not sure about you, but we find it hard to assign blame to Rosen here. Quite frankly, we're not sure if Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or heck, even Tom Brady would have been able to do much on those important 2018 Cardinals or 2019 Dolphins squads. Unlike fellow 2018 draftees like Darnold and Mayfield, Rosen never got an extended look on a 3rd team to revive his career. Teams just eventually gave up on Rosen without ever giving him a real opportunity. Trey Lance. The San Francisco 49ers gave up a king's ransom to the Miami Dolphins in order to trade up into the number 3 spot in the 2021 NFL Draft. After Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson went to the Jacksonville Jaguars and New York Jets respectively, Lance went to the 49ers. It should have been the ideal landing spot for Lance. He was playing in Kyle Shanahan's QB-friendly system. The 49ers didn't have to rush Lance either, with Jimmy Garoppolo remaining the starting QB for 2021. And after the 2021 season, the 49ers named Lance their starting QB. Unfortunately, he suffered a brutal season-ending ankle injury, so the 49ers had to go back to Jimmy G, who suffered his own season-ending injury late in the year. The 49ers had to turn to rookie and 2022 Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy. And, well, the rest is history. Just when it looked like Lance would get his shot elsewhere, the 49ers traded him to the Dallas Cowboys to back up Dak Prescott. Oh. Lance got to play one game for Dallas in 2024 with the Cowboys' playoff hopes being over. Then he became Justin Herbert's backup on the Los Angeles Chargers. So the 49ers ditched Lance after a season-ending injury, then none of the other teams gave him a real shot to take over as a starter. Yeah, do not assign the blame to Lance. This guy never got a fair shake. Heath Schuler. With their Super Bowl dynasty in the rearview mirror, Washington restarted at quarterback and selected the Tennessee product with the number 3 pick in 1994. Despite being stuck on a pathetic team that finished 3-13, Schuler showed promise as a rookie with 10 touchdown passes, albeit against 12 interceptions. Unfortunately, his supporting cast included the league's worst scoring defense and a lousy running game that didn't produce a single 700-yard rusher. Schuler started 5 games in his 1995 sophomore year, but lost the starting job to Gus Frerotte. After watching 1996 from the bench, he was traded to the New Orleans Saints, also among football's worst teams at the time. After a rough first year in NOLA, Schuler dealt with a serious left foot injury and could just never get back to 100%. He retired soon after and entered a career in politics, which proved to be far more successful than his NFL career. Being stuck on 2 terrible teams and having your career wiped out by an injury? Yeah, we are not blaming Schuler, especially considering how terrible Washington has been at developing QBs. Blaine Gabbert. If you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan and somebody told you at the 2011 NFL Draft that Gabbert would win 2 Super Bowls, they would have jumped out of their shoes, except, Gabbert won his rings as a backup QB on the 2020 Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the 2023 Kansas City Chiefs, respectively. Joke's on you, a hypothetical 2011 Jacksonville Jaguars fan. Got your ass. The Jags traded up to select Gabbert with the number 10 pick in 2011, memorably one spot before the Texans took J.J. Watt. Ouch. Now, Gabbert went just 5-22 over his 3 years with the Jags, with 22 touchdowns against 24 interceptions, but it didn't help giving him a bottom 5 defense and 4 different coaches in that period. I mean, how do you produce in that environment? Jags fans, you remember just how pathetic those teams were, right? Look, I'm not saying that he was great, but Gabbert did show some flashes during his subsequent and brief stints with the 49ers and Cardinals. Why was he so unwatchable with the Jags? Well, because they made everybody look bad in those days. It's just kind of who they were. Joey Harrington. 2 picks after the Texans went with David Carr first overall in 2002, the Detroit Lions used the number 3 selection on Oregon signal caller Joey Harrington. Unfortunately, Harrington suffered the same fate as Carr. Over Harrington's 4 seasons as the Lions starting QB, they had 5 Pro Bowlers. Then GM Matt Millen is quite honestly the worst executive in NFL history. And yeah, Marty Mornhinweg and Steve Mariucci were totally over their heads as the coaches during Harrington's tenure in Motown. Harrington had a pair of 1,000-yard rushers to work with in James Stewart and Kevin Jones, but the defense was always a bottom-tier unit. And oh, don't get us started with his anemic group of pass catchers. And don't blame Harrington for failing to revive his career on the Miami Dolphins in 2006. I mean, how many QBs have done well in South Beach since Dan Marino retired again? Mitch Trubisky. Chicago Bears fans don't like to be reminded that their team drafted Trubisky 2nd overall in 2017, infamously passing up on Patrick Mahomes. But you know, we warn Bears fans to point the finger somewhere else. Trubisky was a victim of coaching malpractice over his 4 seasons in Chicago. They never gave that man a good offensive line. And no, Matt Nagy was not qualified as a head coach. Remember how well Justin Fields and Andy Dalton did with him? Neither do we. You might point out Trubisky's lackluster production with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and yeah, well, did anyone in Pittsburgh have success with then OC Matt Canada? Actually, when's the last time the Steelers had Pro Bowl caliber production at QB. Can't help but things would have gone much better for Trubisky if he had landed on a team like the San Francisco 49ers, who traded down from the number 2 spot. Heck, even the New York Jets or the Cincinnati Bengals, 2 other QB-needy teams at the time. I'm pretty sure those 2 dysfunctional teams still would have gotten more out of Trubisky. Tim Couch. After a 3-year hiatus, the Cleveland Browns were officially reactivated by the NFL in 1999. The league awarded them the top pick that year, giving the front office the opportunity to take one of 5 big-name QB prospects: Couch, Donovan McNabb, Akili Smith, Dante Culpepper, or Cade McNown. All 5 would be top 12 picks. The Browns went with Tim Couch, which was good news for future Pro Bowlers McNabb and Culpepper, but bad news for Mr. Couch himself. Angry Browns fans like to blame Couch for his disappointing career. Never mind that his offensive line was complete garbage, or that he only had a single 1,000-yard receiver and 0 1K rushers, or the fact that the coaching staff was absolutely terrible. Couch left the Browns in 1999, but unfortunately never landed a roster spot again, despite numerous tryouts. And as everybody knows, Cleveland has been the NFL's ultimate quarterback graveyard. I mean, heck, how many names on this list have been on the Browns? Blame Couch all you want, but this franchise has just ruined so many careers. It wasn't the fault of Couch. He was just the first victim of the Cleveland Browns' dysfunction and malpractice. Sam Bradford. Rams fans don't have fond memories of the Bradford era, and yes, he also failed to make the most of his other opportunities with the Philadelphia Eagles, Minnesota Vikings, or Arizona Cardinals, but again, I think it's unfair to blame this guy. The Rams took Bradford first overall in 2010 and then forgot all the important rules of building around a franchise QB. He had a horrible offensive line, 0 playmaking pass catchers, and oh yeah, Jeff Fisher as his head coach after Steve Spagnuolo was let go. Yeah, this is not a great place to land. Bradford suffered numerous injuries because the Rams gave him an atrocious offensive line. He suffered a season-ending ACL tear in 2013 and 2014. All told, he only played 49 games in 5 years with the Rams. His one season with the Eagles drew mixed results. In 2016, he actually looked good with Minnesota with a 71.6 completion percentage, 20 touchdowns, and 5 picks. Unfortunately, another injury in 2017 saw him lose his starting job to Case Keenum. Bradford's career never recovered. Bottom line, the Rams destroyed Bradford. Fisher was a QB-killing coach. The front office had no idea how to build a team until Les Snead arrived and subsequently hired Sean McVay. If Bradford had landed basically anywhere else in the 2010 NFL Draft, there is no telling how different his career might have been. But which other NFL quarterback draft busts are unfairly blamed for their career shortcomings? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.